Yesterday, I had a conversation with a friend, and she had really struggled with her perimenopause. And her perimenopause started rather early. It was in her mid to late 30s, and it was so bad because she was bleeding like crazy that they eventually decided, together with her doctors, that they're gonna remove the fallopian tubes and her uterus. So that's a big, big, big impact on a female body. So she was in perimenopause, she had severe symptoms, and bam, she was postmenopausal in the blink of an eye. And removing an organ, that's something. And she also said, also her doctors, they say, nah, it's not just something we do every day. And just because it's really, they do that when they see there's a need, there's an urgency to do that. Hopefully. And yesterday, when we were speaking on the phone, she was checking in, how do you do? Because she knew that, like, last 2 years ago, I was in a really dark pit. And now, whenever we speak, she asks, how do you do? How do you do? And somehow we only speak about my health. Yeah, anyway. And I said, I'm doing splendidly. I'm happy. I'm exercising. I'm met people. And yeah, I do very well. And then she spoke about her and she said, oh, I've also signed up for a gym. And she will be going to a gym because in her circle of friends where she's living, all the ladies are now saying, oh yeah, we need to hit the gym. We need to build the muscles so that our bones are healthy. Yet, most women, as she mentioned that, and also she had that argument that it's because we do not have enough estrogen, and this little estrogen which we might put on our arms is just not enough. The focus is, and whichever conversation I'm having about this, everybody speaks about estrogen. And yes, estrogen plays a very important role, but estrogen is not the only hormone. Estrogen is so interconnected. And yes, low estrogen levels might be the underlying cause for this. But let's speak about the bones. Low estrogen has the effect that we're not so capable of restoring, of rebuilding the bones. So the molecules, the fibroblasts, I think that I'm always confusing it because in my ear, fibroblasts sound like blasting, I'm gonna destroy it, but I think I have like a mental bridge which says no, it's actually the opposite. The fibroblast creates the bones and the fibroclast cuts down, breaks down the bones. And I'm gonna do a mini double check to see if I'm sharing the right thing. Yes, it was right. The fibroblasts, even though I'm thinking they're exploding, it's like blast. Somehow to me that sounds, it's destroying something. They are actually building. The fibroblasts are building, whereas the fibroclasts cutting down, they are deconstructing the bone. And that's just normal. We want our bone to build and break, build and break, build and break. That's optimal. However, low estrogen levels mean that our fibroblasts, the builders, are not so active anymore. They're not so active anymore. So they're building, bone building. Next week. Yeah. Is it really urgent? Okay. So they're not really building our bones. So that's one thing which is happening to our bones. That's the effect of estrogen, of low levels of estrogen. However, in perimenopause, and that's like a double effect, but it's not estrogen as such, it's the follicle stimulating hormone. Low estrogen causes the follicle stimulating hormone to go berserk. And there's other causes for that, but that's one of the causes. The follicle stimulating hormone jumps through the roof, it's really high. It is really high. And that hormone That is telling our bones, not just please build our bones, no, no, next week. Could it be next month, maybe even? Yeah, in 3 months we will build the bone. Okay, yeah, oh, forget about that order. They're not doing that. They're not telling the bones to build, but they're just like really reluctant. That's what estrogen is, low levels of estrogen are doing. The follicle stimulating hormone tells the bones, hey guys, break down. Get active now. Not next month. No, 3 months, you're kidding? Now, yesterday. All right, do your work. So they tell the bones to break down. And in a good balance, that's awesome, because we want the bones to break down and to rebuild, because then we can ensure that we always have new, fresh cells which can last a long time. But now we have the two players at play: the low estrogen, no building of the bones, and the high follicle stimulating hormone, lots of destruction of the bones. So that's why it's really important to do the gym, to do the guy stuff, to do the heavy lifting. It's not just because estrogen is low. No, it's more interconnected. And then I told her the story about the follicle stimulating hormone, and she was like, yeah, doctors told me. I said, really? Really? They told you about follicle stimulating hormone? No, actually they didn't. But they said low levels of estrogen are not good for the bone. Yes, they're not good for the bone, but actually they're not good because the bone is not rebuilding. But nobody mentions that the follicle stimulating hormone tells the bone to break down. So let's please add follicle stimulating hormone to the discussion and conversation about bones. It's just, and one of their friends is a gynecologist. I mean, that's just, I'm not saying it's a bad gynecologist, but I'm really underlying that most gynecologists are not trained in perimenopause and menopause. They just aren't. And it's so often that it's just, you need estrogen, you need progesterone. Yeah, now you're in hormone therapy. You're happy now, right? That's often the easy, quick fix. And I'm glad at least that some of the doctors are providing this easy, quick fix. But the minority, the ultra minority, look at another level deeper, or maybe 3 or 2 or 4 or 10 levels deeper. The minority do that because they're just happy with, oh, here's the hormone replacement, here's the hormone therapy, and we're good. And please be happy. Don't ever come back and complain. I'm a little bit exaggerating, maybe not, but I'm just highlighting that. Please do your research. Please find many different sources. Do not exclusively rely on your gynecologist. They might not mean bad. I'm very certain none of those mean bad, but I'm also very certain, at least from my experience, looking at all the doctors I've seen with various things I consulted, and it all came down to perimenopause. None of them actually dive deeper and want to understand. It can have many reasons. It's the time restriction, it's the monetary restriction, it's what's not paid by the insurance, it's whatever might be the reasons, but it's simply that's what's happening. Could be different in other cities, could be different in other countries, could be different from person to person. And I've had many persons in many different fields of expertise, and it was the same for all of them. So please, if you have a good doctor who you trust and think is capable and have a good experience with, please communicate your findings and your questions with them, because it could be that they will then trigger new questions in your doctors and might trigger new curiosity for them to dive deeper into certain topics and look beyond just prescribing hormone therapy. Because I've had hormone therapy now since a good half year, or for a good half year, and it's been a game changer. Definitely. I'm ultra grateful to be having it. It's still taking time to really know how much of what when. Is it the 100 milligrams of progesterone? Is it 200 milligrams? Does it make sense to start exactly at mid-cycle or maybe a day later? Is it smart to have estrogen continuously or stop for a few days. So it's really finding what's working for the system. It's not just here it is and it's functioning. And it could be that you even get hormone therapy and the one you're getting now might not be working for you, but that you might need a different combination of hormones. There's so many different kinds of those hormones, these kinds of those sex hormones, and they might benefit you differently or harm you in a way, or not providing relief. So if one medication is not helping, please speak with your doctors to find which other one could be the one. But coming back to the plot, hormone therapy, I'm grateful for it. It has been a game changer, and it has not been a magic pill. I'm still struggling with inflammation. I'm still having high insulin. I'm still having high blood glucose levels. I'm still having high follicle stimulating hormones. So all these things are still happening, and they will continue to happen. And it's up to me to counteract those. There's no drug to replace high intensity training. There is no drug to replace heavy weightlifting. There isn't. There isn't. So it's up to us to be doing that work and not just relying and expecting one pill, two pill, and a magic gel to do magic. They will not. They will not. And then my friend mentioned, yeah, she went to the gym, or no, not yet, but she has a subscription now to the gym. And she said, yeah, I'm going to go because, yeah, good for the bones, but also I notice I'm getting fat. And she's like really slim. Like we're kind of the same shape and size. She's really slim. And she said she's getting fat. And I was thinking, but as I kind of was teaching her, at least it felt like that, about the follicle stimulating hormone, I did not provide more information, but I was thinking, of course you are. Of course you are, dear, because you're insulin insensitive. I know you are, and it's not because you did something wrong. It's simply because you are now already in postmenopause. You are insulin insensitive. You are having very likely high blood glucose in your high blood glucose levels. You are very likely storing the energy not necessarily in your muscles because they cannot really open the gates for the glucose to enter, but you're storing it into fat tissue, and very likely visceral fat tissue, which is sitting around your organs. I wish that's what I wanted to tell her, but already with the follicle stimulating hormone, I sensed that it was more information than that was wanted to be received. So I did not add the other information, but I thought it's so easy. It's so easy to change it. And then she said, yeah, but it's, it's perimenopause, menopause there. Well, I guess that's just the way it is. There is no blueprint. And my first reaction was, oh yeah, you're right. And then I noticed, what did I just say? And then I realized, and I said, no, there is a blueprint. There is a blueprint because the underlying causes of all these things, whether it's depression or heavy bleeding or hot flash or aching joints, the way they show, they might be very different. And seeing a connection between those, it's like, really? Like hot flash and gut problem? Like, where's the connection? Or eye inflammation and eye inflammation and bad sleep. Like, yeah, eye inflammation and bad sleep. Like, where's the connection? But the connection is the underlying changes in our system as we go through perimenopause and postmenopause. That, what's happening there and what can provide relief there and what can help us grow healthier into older age, that's a blue pause. That's a blueprint. That's exactly the same for all of us ladies. Yep. So there is no blueprint for how the symptoms show. Nope, definitely not. Even though in common conversation, it's usually, oh, the hot flash, or she's moody, or whatever it might be. So that might be the blueprint of what perimenopause or menopause looks like. Or as it was with the K-drama Iron Family, that she had rosacea on her cheeks. But all of that is caused due to the changes in the system, and they need to be addressed. And they need to be addressed early on. Early on. Had I known about that, had I been aware of the interconnection and of the consequences, and how dangerously easy it is to crash into the deepest abyss you can ever imagine, I would have started applying these things at least a decade ago. And I wasn't thinking I was living an unhealthy life a decade ago. I was active, I was moving, I was dancing, I was learning things. I had stress, but I managed the stress. I was really living very consciously, and I think healthily. But all the additional things which I'm now have incorporated into my lifestyle: changed nutrition, optimized nutrition, saunas, cold plunges, heavy lifting, regularly heavy lifting, also intense interval cardio and sprints, really looking into my sleep, also some supplements which I'm taking. All of that, I wish I had laid the foundation 10 years ago, and not just now kind of building the foundation while already the ground had been crumbling down. So yeah, I wish I could have told that my friend about the insulin and blood glucose, and maybe I do that next time if she wants to hear those things. But I'm happy that you want to hear those things, and I can only encourage you to, little drops by little drops, share with your family, share with your friends, because this is a systematic change, and you likely cannot do it alone. Let's say even addressing the insulin insensitivity and the blood glucose, if she changes her diet, ideally the entire family supports her with that, and not just thinking, oh, mom, yeah, she has a weird diet, let her do whatever. Or don't be excluded, help, or let your environment, let your community help you with that transition. So the more we share, the more we speak about it, the more known all these interconnections are, the easier it will be for us to transition through that phase, and even more importantly, the more likely we will transition through that phase in a healthy way and build a foundation on which we can grow old much more healthily as well. So if you found this interesting, if you found this insightful, please share with your friends, with your family, with your loved ones, and also please share in the comments. And I'm looking forward to see you next time.